Housing solutions. In many areas, people can't afford to buy or rent a place to live. It's a problem that will become worse in the future. Some cities have found interesting solutions. One example is half houses in Chile. An earthquake hit the town of Constitución in 2010 and destroyed about 80% of the buildings. The local government hired an architecture firm to provide low-cost houses. They built houses that are only half finished. The owners finish the house when they have the money. It means that each family can decide what they need: a garage, another bedroom, a hall, a balcony. One resident says, "We're going to build another bedroom and bathroom in 2 years. We can add our personal style." Another solution is micro units, like those at Carmel Place in New York City. These are very small apartments, around 28 square meters. They are too small for a family, but perfect for single young professionals. Each one-room apartment has the usual appliances: a stove, a refrigerator, and a microwave. And there's a room in another part of the building for washing clothes. The smart use of special furniture means the room can become a bedroom, kitchen, office, or living room. The desk becomes a dining table, and the couch becomes a bed. The coffee table folds down and goes under the bed at night. A young resident says, "I'm having a friend over for dinner tonight. I just turn the bed into a couch, the desk into a table, and we're good to go."
We graduate this summer, Ashley. I'm going to start apartment hunting. Where do you think you might live next year?
Oh, I don't know. I want a job in finance, so maybe I'll live in an apartment near the financial district. If I don't find a job, I won't be able to afford it. And I might still be at home with my mom and dad. And that's fine. I like living with them.
You could live with a friend. My brother and a couple of friends rent an apartment together. They have their own bedrooms, and they share a living room, kitchen, and bathroom. They share the bills and the chores.
I'd like to have roommates, but renting is so expensive. I probably won't be able to afford that.
You may find something cheap outside the city, but then you have the problem of traveling into the city every day for work.
What about you?
I can't wait to have my own place. If I find a good job, I might rent a studio apartment downtown. I'd like to be downtown because I'd be close to all the restaurants and places to go.
That sounds great, but you might get lonely living alone. You should think about renting a room in a house. And won't you miss living with your family?
I will definitely miss them, but they could come and see me. I think I might ask my brother what it's like. Maybe I could live with him.
Good idea.
Hello, everyone. Today, I want to talk about the future of our homes. We're going to see many changes in our homes, but I'd like to focus on energy. The appliances in our houses, such as air conditioners and heaters, use a lot of energy. In the future, more and more people are going to be using renewable energy, such as wind power, wave power, and solar power. Here's a diagram explaining how solar power works. On the roof of the house, we have solar panels. These receive sunlight on sunny days. The light falls on special materials, which create electricity. This electricity is direct current, or DC. That goes to the inverter from the solar panels. The inverter changes the DC into AC, or alternating current. It then sends the electricity to the appliances in the house. Things like your kitchen stove, dishwasher, and washing machine need AC to work. Sometimes, the system creates a lot of energy. In that case, the electrical grid takes the power that the house doesn't need. That way, other houses can use the electricity. And on days when there is no sun, the grid provides the house with power. In the future, we might see solar windows on buildings. We could also see solar clothes or solar sunglasses. You wear them, and they work like solar panels, creating energy to power your devices.
Neighborhood development. Neighborhoods are changing all the time. That means someone has to make decisions about these changes. It might be urban planners or members of local government. They often have to decide between different plans for a neighborhood. They may have to think about costs, housing, and the needs of local people. How do they make their decisions? One tool to help planners make a decision is a decision matrix. In a decision matrix, they list the important results they want for the neighborhood. For example, local people may want more houses, less traffic, or more parks. Planners develop several plans to get these results. They then score each plan against each result. -2 for a very negative effect, -1 for a negative effect, 0 for no effect, +1 for a positive effect, and +2 for a very positive effect. The plan with the highest total score is the one to choose. People can use a decision matrix to help with all kinds of decisions, from large business decisions to personal decisions, like making a budget or planning a vacation.
3 ways to power up your brain. How can you help your brain to work better? Here is some advice from the experts. Get healthy. One way to help your brain is to get healthy by exercising more and eating better. In one study, people had a better memory after 6 weeks of physical training. Some studies found that if you exercise for 10 minutes before thinking about a problem, it improves your problem-solving and decision-making skills. Your diet is also important. Vitamins and minerals from food like fish, vegetables, and nuts help keep your brain healthy. Sleep better. Sleep isn't just rest for the body. It also rests your brain. During sleep, your brain organizes your experiences, often through dreams. When you are learning new skills, you actually get better at them while you sleep. Sleep helps you think clearly while you're awake. Most people who sleep only 4 to 6 hours in one night don't think clearly the next day. Keep learning. Your brain can change, something known as neuroplasticity. If you challenge your brain, it will develop more connections between its neurons. One thing you can do to challenge your brain is to learn a new skill, such as a new language or a musical instrument. Some people enjoy brain training, online sites and apps that use puzzles or other tasks to exercise your brain. Many of these sites and apps don't have much effect on the brain, and they certainly won't make you more intelligent. However, psychologists have created some types of puzzles that make your brain work faster. Doing these tasks makes some people feel sharper in their everyday lives.
Hello, I'm Dan Foster. This week, our guest is Madison Gray. Madison is a nurse, and she's going to be talking to me about being ready for accidents. Madison, what's the first thing we should know about accidents?
The most important thing is to have some basic training in first aid for common accidents. If you saw someone trip and fall while walking on the sidewalk, what would you do?
I guess I would help the person up.
That's not a good idea. If the person was injured, you could make the injury worse. First, I would see if he or she was awake. If the answer was yes, I would ask the person how he or she felt. I would check for injuries like a broken wrist or a sprained ankle. Then I might help the person sit up. And if that was okay, I'd help the person stand.
And what if the person wasn't awake?
Then I would see if he or she was breathing. If not, I'd do CPR and call an ambulance. If the person was breathing, I would try to make him or her comfortable. Then I would call an ambulance.
Okay. What about something like a broken arm?
First, I would check for any cuts. It's important to stop any bleeding first because you can lose a lot of blood very quickly. If there were any cuts, I would press on them with a clean cloth. Then I would find a way to keep the arm from moving. If I could, I would put ice on the arm for the pain. Finally, I would call an ambulance.
We'll be back with more from Madison after these messages.
Hi, Emily.
Hi, Aiden. Hey, you look like you're going to go running. I didn't know you were a fitness fanatic.
I wasn't a fitness fanatic. I used to just sit in front of the TV when I got home from work, but I really needed to change that.
So you're running now?
Well, yeah. There's a new program called Couch to 5K. It's for people who want to get fit but don't know where to start. They take you from lying on the couch to running 5 kilometers in just 9 weeks.
Sounds interesting. What did you have to do to get ready to run that much?
Before I got started, I went to my doctor for a checkup. He said I was good to go and could get started any time.
So you just started running?
Not exactly. In the first week of the program, I did 3 runs. On each run, I ran for 1 minute and then walked for 1.5 minutes. And each week, the program says to run just a little longer and then walk. I'm only on week 5, but after 9 weeks, I'll run for 30 minutes and do 5 kilometers.
That sounds like a good way to get fit. I think even I could do that. What else do you have to do?
You can get apps to help you improve your diet. You enter what food you eat, and it tells you about the calories, the protein, that kind of thing. If you eat the right things, it means you won't get tired when you're exercising.
I might try it. Enjoy your run, and I'll call you later. You can tell me more about it.
Okay. See you later.
Public health. Many countries face serious public health problems. One example is obesity. According to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, 1 in 2 adults and nearly 1 in 6 children in its member countries are overweight or obese. That puts pressure on health services. Some countries are looking at ways of improving public health. One way is to encourage people to eat better. Some countries, such as the United States and the United Kingdom, have 5-a-day campaigns. They tell people that they should eat 5 portions of fruit or vegetables each day. Many countries have laws about labels on food. Producers have to show the amount of fat, protein, and carbohydrates in each food. Some countries have a traffic light system. Green means the food has a small amount of fat, sugar, and salt. Yellow means the food has a medium amount. Red means there's a high amount of fat, sugar, or salt. The labels help people make better choices. Public health departments are always looking for new ideas to improve public health.
From seed to T-shirt. T-shirts are a basic part of almost everyone's closet. Over 2 billion T-shirts are sold every year around the world. So how are they made? And where do they end up? The story starts with the seed of the cotton plant. The plants are grown on large farms. The cotton is collected and sent to a factory. There, it is cleaned and made into yarn. The yarn is made into cloth. This is used to make T-shirts. The T-shirts are then transported around the world. Just take a look at the label on one of your T-shirts and see how far it came. The T-shirts go into stores and are sold to consumers. That's you. You probably have the T-shirt for a while, and it is worn, washed, and dried again and again. When you decide to get rid of it, you have a few options. You might throw it in the trash. But if you knew how much of the Earth's natural resources go into making a T-shirt, you might think again. A lot of energy and water are used in making and washing clothes. A lot of chemicals are used in this process too. One option is to recycle your old T-shirts. When a T-shirt is sent to a recycling center, it is made into other things, such as cleaning cloths. Another idea is to upcycle your T-shirts. Old T-shirts are sometimes made into belts, scarves, or bags.
My next guest is Angela Miller, and she's here today to talk to us about lucky discoveries. Welcome, Angela. What lucky discovery are you going to tell us about?
I'm here today to tell you about this material, Ryan.
I know that sound. It's Velcro.
That's right. And did you know that Velcro was invented by a dog?
By a dog?
Well, almost. Swiss engineer Georges de Mestral was out with his dog in 1941, and he noticed that some plants stuck to his dog's fur like glue.
I know the kind of plant you mean. They're round and sticky.
Yes, they're called burrs. De Mestral noticed that his dog was covered in burrs. His pants were also covered in them. When he got home, he looked at the plants under a microscope and saw that they had tiny hooks. The fur and the material of his pants had small loops. His dog's fur and his pants were caught by the hooks.
How was Velcro created from that idea?
At the time, clothes were made with buttons and zippers. De Mestral wanted to create a new material so people wouldn't need buttons and zippers. It wasn't easy, and it took some time to develop a commercial product, but after 10 years, Velcro was finally created. In the early days, Velcro was made of cotton, but nylon worked better.
What was it used for in those days?
It was used on clothes and bags. It became popular after it was used in space by NASA in the 1960s. It was used by astronauts to hold things in place.
Now you can see sneakers that fasten with Velcro. When did it appear on sneakers?
It was first used on children's sneakers in the 1980s. It's great for children and disabled people because it's very easy to fasten and unfasten.
I guess the lesson is to always keep your eyes open because you never know what you might discover. Angela, thank you for joining us today.
In today's lecture, I want to tell you about Tato Hatlanya. Tato is a young businesswoman from South Africa. She noticed that many poor school children in South Africa face some problems. First of all, school is often a long way from home. Each morning and evening, these children have to walk many kilometers to school and back again. It is dangerous because there are a lot of cars and trucks on the roads. Second, their homes often don't have electricity. When they get home, they find it difficult to study in the dark. Tato also realized that South Africa has a problem with plastic bags. A lot of plastic bags are thrown away and end up as trash in the streets. In fact, children often carry their books to school in simple plastic bags. Tato thought that she could solve both of these problems. She decided to create school bags from recycled plastic bags. They are called repurposed school bags. Repurposed school bags were designed to help school children. They have a solar panel, a battery, and a light. The battery is charged during the day and it powers the light at night. That means that children can do their homework after the sun goes down. They no longer have to hurry home. The bags are also reflective. That means drivers can see the children as they walk along the busy roads. The children are safer. Tato is just one of the many young inventors trying to make life better in Africa.
Upcycling projects. We humans use a lot of materials. Take plastic, for example. According to Statista, every year, around 350 million metric tons of plastic are produced around the world. Sadly, not much of it is recycled. In fact, about half of the plastic is used just once and is then sent to a landfill, according to Plastic Oceans International. In 2007, Charles Fishman of Fast Company magazine reported that 1 million plastic bottles are bought every minute of every day in the U.S., but only around 23% are recycled. 4 trillion plastic bags are produced each year, and only 1% are recycled, according to Waste Management. Our use of other plastics is not much better. Plastic use is a big problem. Many people are looking at ways to upcycle different materials. Upcycling involves finding new uses for materials at the end of their original use. In one project, a greenhouse was created using old plastic water bottles. In others, large coffee cans or old rubber boots were turned into containers for plants, and old rubber tires became notebook covers. Artists, too, upcycle materials. Tim Noble and Sue Webster, 2 British artists, create what look like piles of trash. When a light shines on the trash from a certain angle, it makes an interesting shadow on the wall. These days, institutions such as colleges and companies are looking for smarter ways to use materials. This involves reducing the amount of materials they use and thinking of ways to upcycle materials so that they last a long time.
Types of community. We all belong to different social groups. We choose some of them ourselves, and some of them are chosen for us. The social groups we belong to often give us support. They also say a lot about who we are and how we see ourselves. There are many different types of community. One type is community of place. The place could be a neighborhood, a region, or a country. A second is community of interest. The people might all be interested in a certain hobby or a certain type of music, for example. A third is community of purpose. People in this type of community share the same purpose, such as learning a language or running a successful company. A fourth is community of practice. This is a group of people who share the same profession. Each type of community can offer different things to its members. A community of place might offer people to chat with and to support you in difficult times. A community of interest can give you friendship and a way to learn more about a subject. A community of purpose can help you learn ways of achieving your goals. Also, people working together can often achieve more than a person working by himself or herself. A community of practice gives you opportunities to share ideas as well as the chance to network. Any particular group might be more than one type of community. For example, a local cycling club is a community of place and a community of interest. If the members decided to raise money for a local charity, they would also be a community of purpose.
Welcome to the show. Today, I'm talking to Sean Johnson. Sean's the head of an employment agency, and he's going to talk to us about networking. Sean, what is networking?
Networking is speaking to people in your profession. This gives you a community of practice.
Tell us where we can network and how.
If you're working, you can start with your office. Try to make time to speak to everyone. If there's someone you haven't met, introduce yourself. Get to know each person. Ask about his or her job. You'll be surprised how much you can learn just from chatting with people.
What if you don't have a job yet?
You can start to find contacts in your chosen profession. Start with friends and family. Maybe you already know someone who works in an area you are interested in. Think about people you knew in college. What are they doing now? Maybe they can help you when you are job hunting. That's a good example of why you should always stay in touch with people from high school when you go to college, or with old colleagues when you start a new job.
What about online groups?
They can be a great way of sharing ideas. Find a group connected to the profession you want. Ask questions, join discussions, and comment on posts. You'll learn about your profession and get to know people. You might even hear about job opportunities before other people do.
Does all networking happen online?
Not at all. Your college might organize a career fair when companies come to campus. That's a good chance to speak to people in your future profession. You can also contact companies directly and ask about opportunities to work as an intern. You don't always get paid, but you get a lot of experience. Another interesting option is speed networking. Some colleges and companies organize these events. You have a few minutes to talk to one person, then everyone changes partners. That way, you can make a lot of useful connections in a very short time.
Thanks, Sean. So, what do you think about networking? Call us now and tell us.
Hello, and welcome to today's podcast. I want to talk to you today about different social groups. You might see people who wear dark clothes, dark makeup, and call themselves goths. Others, such as otakus, might dress as characters from comics or video games. We call these youth subcultures or youth tribes. They often have one thing in common. You can see who is a part of the group by looking at them. They dress differently from other young people. There are 3 reasons for this. First, many young people want to look different from their parents to show that they are a new generation. This has been true for decades. American teenagers in the 1940s started to wear jeans and t-shirts when their parents often wore shirts and ties. It was a way of saying, "We're here and we're different." At the same time, young people want to feel like part of a group. They want to spend time with other young people who share their opinions and beliefs. When you are part of a youth tribe, you can see who is like you and who is different, even if you've never met them before. If they are in the same youth tribe, they probably have the same interests as you. Finally, young people want to express their personality. They choose a subculture that shows who they are. And, of course, that can change. Today's goth might be tomorrow's hipster. So, what do you think of youth subcultures? Contact me and I'll read some of your comments on the next podcast.
Reaching a target group. Sometimes, a business has a product that it wants to sell to a certain group of people. For example, there is no point advertising a new car to people who don't drive. Governments, too, sometimes want to get information to a specific group. This might be information about children's health that they want to give to parents. In both cases, it would be a waste of money to inform everyone. It's better to aim your message at the people you want to reach. How do you do that? First of all, it's important to clearly identify the group of people you want to reach. Is it parents? Is it teenagers? Is it homeowners? When you have a clear idea of your target group, then you can think about how to reach people in the group. Second, you need to think about how to communicate with that group. Teenagers and young adults spend time on social networks. That might be the best way to reach them. It might not work so well for senior citizens or other groups. Third, you need to express your message in the right way. With professional people, you may want to use serious language. With teenagers, you may want to use slang or informal language. When you aim your message at a clear target group and use the right form of communication, your message is more effective.